everybody. Welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We are here with Mike Polito of MAPP Construction. We're going to talk about building things from the ground up, both business-wise and actual structure-wise. We're going to listen about his journey within his career and his company that's been around for, I hate to say, longer than I've actually been alive. That's pretty scary. But before we do that, I want to give a big shout out to the wonderful people that make this show possible each and every week we come to you. That is Polito Real Estate, we're in there for Live Focus Podcast Studio, Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge, Government Taco, Horizon Financial Group, Mallard Bay Outdoors, and Currency Bank. Stay tuned to hear a little bit more about them at the end of the show. And without further ado, Mike, welcome.
That's a pretty impressive list of sponsors. Congratulations.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Thank
it
you.
is.
Thank you. I know, it's just that slowly, like we were talking before the show, there's that slow progression of making things each and every day. You're able to look back and you've actually done something.
Right, you know. So, yeah,
Get a win.
Yeah, we're very thankful for each and every one of those wonderful people that make us the ability to sit in this chair and have this interview with you.
Yeah,
So,
great.
but for those that
Happy to
don't
be
know
here.
who you are, Mike, who are you?
Well, I jokingly say I'm just a dumb old contractor. So I guess that's really what I am. So that's who I am. But you know, I'm a dad, husband, and a contractor. I guess at the end of the day, that's what I do.
I like that. So, what is MAPP?
You know, I mean, MAPP is, you know, it's hard to explain to what MAPP is for what I believe MAPP is. I mean, obviously you know, what we do is we build buildings, but what we try to do is be a good partner and a good steward of the industry. I mean, you know, it's important to me that the industry improves and has improved ever since I got involved. It's really one of the reasons I started the company, was to see if we couldn't build a better mousetrap in an industry that is relatively constrained with regards to improvement. So,
Right. So, what do you mean by constrained?
well, yeah, if you look at the construction industry, and if you compared to other industries, it's the least disrupted in the last 20 years. I think there's actually a graphic that I saw maybe 3 or 4 years ago that agriculture and construction were the last two that haven't been disrupted completely by technology and whatnot. And while it's been improved, it you know, the robots aren't building buildings yet, and it's going to be a while. They are, but it's going to take a while. And I saw a robot that was laying brick. I can remember a meeting I was in with a peer group, and our consultant told us all that, you know, the world was going to change in the next 5 years in construction, and get on or get off. We all kind of laughed at him, and we were right. And not to say that it hasn't changed, but it's a ways away before you really see that disruptive change. It's certainly much better. We were talking earlier about the enhancements in the technology and how it has been. It's more expedient, more efficient, but we're still a very low production, low efficiency, low productivity industry. We just are, because we're not building the same thing over and over again and in the same place. So
Right. Even if it is, you know, like we were talking about some companies that have model sites that you build over and over again,
Right.
There's still some variables that come into play, whether it's dirt work, whether it's, you know, the foundation's different, the
Sure.
climate's different, maybe the city has different requirements for what can be exposed and what can't be exposed. So you still have differences throughout, that nothing is going to be exactly the same
very rarely.
as site A versus site B.
That's correct. And you have different trade partners, and it's just different. And so we're an industry that is not a highly productive industry. We could be better, and the industry is improving, and different techniques to do that. But so yeah, that's what we try to do.
I like it. And then there are, I mean, some tools that have advanced, right?
No question.
You know, we were talking beforehand about the the ability to estimate jobs and
Yes.
how that cost has dropped significantly through the use of Google Maps,
No
drone
question.
technology. But again, like you said, it's not disrupting
No,
the entire industry. It's
not
just
yet.
making y'all a little bit more efficient in
Much
one
better.
step.
Yeah, you know the 3D modeling, the BIM technology, the drone technology, all of that is just taken us light years. You know, we were talking earlier about, you know, the decision to maybe price a project that's a 7-hour drive or a plane ride away. Maybe you didn't look at it 15 years ago, where now it's much easier to look at with the technology. Somebody that's in the area can go by and do a scan. You know, some of that sort of the information technology has been very good for the industry. You know, with you know, we talk about turning data into wisdom, and so in decision making, it has helped, and I think that's where the industry has improved now. So where things are getting most rapidly changing, and it's still not rapid. So I mean, I don't want to mislead you, but with BIM and with that all of that technology that we're talking about, 3D prefabrication becomes more of a reality. And so on certain projects, you can use the prefabrication, whether it's duct work. Like when we did the University Medical Center down in New Orleans, we prefabricated most all of the corridor trunk lines, duct work and electrical conduit. So it expedited. It was less expensive. We prefabbed the bathrooms and the patient rooms. So that's where I think the biggest lick on repetitive construction you can get some things done that way.
So what is BIM for those that aren't aware?
Building information modeling.
Okay.
And so what that is the architects, of course, used to draw it by hand. Then they started drawing in CAD, which was computer drawing, and now they actually draw in 3D. All of that was, you know, one-dimensional. Now it's three-dimensional, and so that they can draw it in 3D. We can see it in 3D when we price it, and more importantly, when you get those files, you can actually start coordinating things to make sure that there's not going to be some of the disruptions to certain projects. You know, it's very hard to coordinate a mechanical layout with an electrical layout with a structural layout. We used to do it when I got started, before you were born, by the way. That I really appreciate that dig. But we would have a light board, just to tell you how far it's come, and you would take the sepias, the drawings, and or the drawings themselves, you would overlay them with the light that would then tell you where the conflicts were. Where were the duct gonna hit the conduit? And so now you do that 3D. And so we have a VDC guy, virtual design and construction guy, that takes that model, adds in more detail, adds our the duct work where it's going to be, and we coordinate things. And so it does help with the efficiency. So now you're not having to take that duct work down, send it back to the shop, rebuild it, bring it back, because it's going to be right when it gets there.
Right, and you're able to use that technology for the better instead of where some companies may say, oh, we've been doing this way for so many years.
Right.
It's, no, how can we use what's available to best suit your needs? I mean, it's like you said, it's saving time and saving money, which ultimately keeps the projects on budget and on time.
That's correct. And, that's how we make money, is by building them on time. That's really
right.
how I make money.
Yeah, my dad's a civil engineer, so I remember
Okay.
those papers he used to overlay for bridge designs and everything.
Sure.
Watching him do all that, it's incredible to see how it's come, and I'm sure from like a recruiting standpoint, y'all have probably changed who you're looking for a little bit. You're looking for people with more of a technical background, maybe in some information systems, degree programs.
We have actually 3 technology guys, and I'm not sure what the heck they do, to be honest with you. But and all kidding aside, we have one guy who does nothing but virtual design and construction. That's his job. It's the BIM deal, and so he works with our construction teams mostly, and our pre-construction teams. Very technical, very construction driven. Then we have what I call the hardware guy, but that's the guy that keeps all the hardware rocking and rolling. And then we have an information guy who kind of creates our dashboards and takes that information and so that we can use it more in decision making. So we have 3. I can tell you 30 years ago, I never thought we would have three technology guys in the organization, and yes, their degrees are all out of that information technology place.
Yeah, I mean, it's opening up their avenues as well. Instead of going to a data-heavy company, well, now every company is data-heavy.
That's correct.
You know, you have to be in order to know what you're doing. I mean, you're working on projects across the country that you got to be able to know where they're all at, what stage they're all at. Then if there's an issue, you got to handle it back here and say, like you said, send them someone out there to fly. You've got to be able to adapt and grow in every single facet where you're at.
Yeah, the data, we use it a lot. And, across in every one of our offices, we have dashboards, TVs up on the walls that are telling project managers if they're ahead or behind, or it's a little bit of peer pressure. 10 projects up there, who's in the green, who's in the yellow, who's in the red on certain types of things. And it works. Everybody wants to be in the green. But the important thing is to try to make sure that they understand the information so that they can then use it. Information's great. Sometimes the information that's in the system's not right, but again, it's going to show up as red, so then they can correct it. If they need to, if they didn't put it in right. So yeah, it's great stuff. It's helped in a lot of ways. It's made it more. I go back to 30, 35 years ago, it was easier. It took longer maybe to build, but it was a little easier. There wasn't so much in your face, and the processes and the systems weren't, from a nuanced standpoint, it's just simpler times, I guess you'd say. And I hate to be that way,
I was about to say, what do you mean by easier?
Simpler. It was, the architects used to come on the job site. There's a thing in our industry called the Request for Information, RFI. When I first started, we didn't have RFIs because the RFI process was the architect came to the job site once a week, walked the job with the superintendent and redline the drawings where he had questions. The superintendent would say, I need this, I need this. He would redline them, and we would do it. Well, now with technology and with maybe it's attorneys, I don't know what got us started on the RFI process, but now because it's easy to communicate between offices, we send an RFI to, and this is industry standard, it's not just MAPP. And so the architect then sitting in his office, and he can be 100 miles from the job site, but it may take him longer to answer the question. But so now you got to track these RFIs, and as a project manager, it's more than what I had to do as a project manager. So don't tell them that. But the reality is it's more, and so we end up with more people managing per project than we would normally have had. Like if I was running 8 projects or 6 projects back when I was your age, you couldn't do that today.
So, I mean, what kind of has been the big shift in that? Has it just been technology, or, I mean, like, what kind of has led to that big shift going from, like you said, one person doing 8 to now you need 8 people on 8? Well,
I go back to the technology, but it's a lot is driven by owners, in the sense that on the architectural side, over the years, and again 30 years, but owners and developers have, they've driven competitively fees down for architects, and so they can't make as many job sites visits, and so but because of technology, maybe they don't have to, and so because now they can see it from their office. But the reality is, it does take a little bit of the simplicity out of it when you have to document everything in an RFI, as opposed to picking up the phone. Hey, can you go out there tomorrow and check with the architect, check with the superintendent? So it's a little bit, I'm glad I'm not a project manager anymore, I guess is what I'm saying. It's a very, it's a lot of paperwork.
Right. Well, and then you run into stuff in the field that may not be on the paperwork or designs.
Every architectural drawing's perfect, so we never have that problem. It's a tip of the hat to all the architects out there. No, that happens. Sure, look, nobody's perfect. There's not the perfect contractor. There's not the perfect architect. There's not the perfect structural engineer. There are going to be changes. It's, and we're blessed to generally work with clients that understand that, and architects that understand that we're not going to be perfect, and we want to help the architects when they're not perfect, and that's when you really have a good project team, when everybody realizes that construction is not an industry of perfection. There are tolerances in everything, and it's in the code. It's in the specifications. There are tolerances in everything. There is nothing that is perfect. And, sometimes I was joking with a client a couple of weeks ago. They were on the phone asking me about a certain project, because now they can see it on cameras too, right? Yeah.
Oh.
And so, what's going on with this project? I said, sometimes y'all need to turn the cameras off and let us make the sausage without you seeing it. But no, the more eyes, the better. It's all good. But it is true. I mean, we're not. It can be messy at times. So
Yeah, I mean, and maybe a step that you're doing is not fully understood by the client, and they don't really know every step that goes into it. So when you're doing something, they start asking, why in the world are you doing this?
Our clients are very well informed. They very much know everything about everything that we do. They're good. So we don't have that client you're talking about. No, we have them. Sure, they're not supposed to. It's not their business, right? So if we're building a theater, they know how to show movies.
Mm-hmm.
They know how to pop popcorn, and so yeah. But usually most clients have a construction professional that does understand it, that represents them, and so they really are fairly knowledgeable. But by the same token, it's not going to always go right, and most of them understand that, as long as you're responsive. And I think that's one of the keys to our success is, one of the differentiators that we try to do. And I'm not trying to do a sales pitch here, but we really want to focus on client intimacy and being the most responsive to the client of any contractor in any market we're in, and sometimes that's hard, but I think we've been pretty successful at it, and we like to continue to get it better at it.
Yeah, and I think that plays a role in a lot of industries, is that education of the client along the way. I mean, within the accounting world, especially right now, it's tax time, right? And so sitting down with potential new clients, going over their previous years and their current year, and you start talking to them and you start walking them through how that sausage is made to an effect that's understandable by everybody, they're able to see, oh, this makes a lot more sense. So that education in turn can sometimes help with their understanding and their realization of, oh, it's not as easy as I thought.
But it's not any different like when you call up and say, okay, you owe $20,000. I need the check tomorrow so we can turn this in. It's kind of like when we call up and say, ooh, this isn't quite going right, and it's going to cost you another $20,000 to do this. So we have a lot in common.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure, there's some clients that are saying, yep, we expected it.
Yeah.
It's all good. We understand. Then there's those other clients that say, maybe you need to go rerun the numbers.
Yeah. I had a really good friend years and years ago. We were talking about taxes, and I was complaining about taxes, and he looked at me and he said, Mike, it's good to pay taxes. And I was thinking I was going to get this ideologue comment about, paying the government. He goes, it means you're making money. So I said, okay, I like that. So yeah, it's good to pay taxes.
Yeah. And so we've actually got a comment has actually come in from a viewer. They're saying, do you have any advice for staffing firms that want to work with contractors as a solution partner?
Oh, I think that,
that's from Ryan Nelson.
That's a great business to be in right now. I was just at a meeting, literally with one of our business units who's looking at doing a lot of work across the country, and they have they've got a lot of projects to staff, and so as opposed to working with trade partners, looking at doing it ourselves, and finding the staffing companies around the country that can staff. So, do I have a recommendation? To vet the people you send us. I mean, that's really what I would say is, in our business, we need just about everything. The industry is way down on people. Young people are not coming into the industry, so we're doing all we can to promote the industry. But that would be what I'd say is just vet the people we're sending. And if you can't send them a good, a reasonable person for what we're looking for, don't send. Just say you can't make it. But, other than that, just get in front of the contractors. I'm happy to introduce anybody to the company that, if they want to be introduced, just you can catch me on LinkedIn or whatever, message me, and I'll be happy to introduce you to whoever makes those decisions at our company.
Yeah, LinkedIn's effective with Mike. I can attest to that.
It is. I like LinkedIn. I mean, it's a good platform.
Yeah, it's a great platform to connect with business-minded individuals that are in that frame of mind, right?
Yeah.
They're not on there trying to, post about their dogs or their
Right.
cats or
Exactly.
their food.
Yeah.
They're in that mindset of business operations, business procedures, that it's easy to get into a conversation with them just through a social network.
Yeah, and I think that I do think LinkedIn is it's a great network for us to find people, and make an initial introduction to a client, and work over time, but and see if they're interested without being too pesky, I guess is the word. So yeah, I like it. It's a professional, and I even I like it when somebody posts something that maybe isn't business oriented, and boy,
It catches you off guard.
Well, they see everybody comment, "This is not LinkedIn appropriate." I'm like, yeah, go ahead. It's self-policing. So yeah, it is.
So have y'all used like LinkedIn or Handshake for y'all staffing needs? Like, have you found those to be good tools?
I'm not familiar with Handshake.
Okay.
LinkedIn I use religiously for searching for people. I wish our company, a lot of our managers should use it more, because I think it is without question. Now, look, we use recruiters at times, and but we try not to if we don't have to. And I have a pretty extensive network on LinkedIn, just over the years, and I can find people easy through that process. Now it takes time. You have to, where I learned that was, again, I'm a member of a peer group, and one of the peer group, we were in New York for a meeting with their offices in New York, and he brought in one of his managers and said, "What do you?" We talked about what he did during the, what was his normal day and normal week, and he spends 30 minutes a day on LinkedIn searching for talent. Now, he's not a recruiter for the company. I mean, he's a manager of project. 30 minutes a day on LinkedIn, and he schedules a coffee twice a week with just somebody, whether he's looking for a superintendent or a project manager or not. Now, that is commitment to recruiting, which is, war for talent out there is real. So I try to I don't do the 2 coffees, but I do try to spend a good 15, 20 minutes a day just searching for somebody that we may want to look at over time, even if we're not looking for that position. And it's been great. We've had some great folks that have come our way because of it.
And those that you're able to find on there that have put the time and effort in are the ones you want
That's right.
on your team,
Yep.
because they know how valuable of a tool it really is.
Yeah. That's right. They're trying to, well, first of all, they have a good, anybody that's on it, that is active on it, is interested in branding themselves. And I think that's important. One of the things, one of our core values is being different. And I describe that from a corporate standpoint, but from an individual standpoint, everybody needs to brand themselves. And inside of our organization is, what do you do differently that makes you who you are and why people want to work with you? And so LinkedIn is telling me that, well, this person wants to get out there and brand themselves a little bit. Doesn't have to be, Instagram or
You don't have to be all over the place.
Yeah, you're not looking
posting
for an
everything.
NIL deal, but
Right.
but I mean, you just it tells me that you're interested in building some relationships, finding new people, and branding yourself a little bit. So it's great. I found great talent on LinkedIn. And one of the first things I do when somebody comes to me, you know, the manager says, "Hey, I'm looking at talking to this person." First thing I do is go to LinkedIn. And
do they have a presence?
Do they have a presence? What do they do? What have they said? Are they interested in trying to build their persona up?
Well, and that's as of late, the social media world from a hiring perspective has come more and more important because recruiters or even talent managers are looking at their profiles. What are they posting? What are they talking about? You know, I saw today that college football coaches are not accepting people on the team based on some of their posting history. Yep. And looking at, we're not moving forward with this recruiter, with this recruit because of what they're posting.
It's great.
And you have to, as an individual, be aware of what you're posting. You can't, if you want to post whatever you want and that's your personal brand and that's who you identify and that's what you're after, then by all means go for it. Just know from a recruiting standpoint, from an opportunity standpoint, it may turn some people off and not even take that coffee with you in the morning because they're able to see
it's a due
Mike's
diligence
posting
thing.
some shady stuff.
That's
you know,
right.
we really don't want to sit down with Mike.
That's 100% right. It goes both ways.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously we're doing the due diligence in the same way, right? Very rarely are we, you know, hiring somebody without looking at Facebook, seeing if they're on there and are they QAnon supporters or are they, you know, a little middle of the road. So yeah, you know, you got to be careful because you don't want somebody coming into your brand or into your culture, and then you know, you may have to get rid of them because they're not what you're looking for. And then once they're on your team, you know, we're pretty liberal about, you know, you post whatever the heck you want. We're not going to police that by any means. We've never had a situation where we've had to go, oh my gosh, so-and-so posted, but not to say that so-and-so didn't, but we don't watch it after. We're not like Big Brother, but we certainly, you want to do your due diligence before we hire. And I would expect the same out of somebody before they come to MAPP. You know, they're going to look at MAPP's website. They're going to look at me,
it's
maybe,
your
or
portfolio. It's your public portfolio.
Yeah, they're going to look at whoever's hiring them in the company, look at their LinkedIn, maybe even look at their Facebook. I hope they don't look at my Facebook. But
well, I mean, it's like what jobs is MAPP bidding? What jobs is MAPP getting and working on?
Yeah.
Are they posting about their jobs?
Sure.
What is their experience? And now it's at the point of when I'm going to hire somebody, what is their experience? Can they show their experience?
Yeah.
Do they show their experience? If I'm looking at an intern or a hire for the show, I'm looking at, you know, what's your track record? Are you on social media? Can you edit videos? Can you send me some of your work?
Yeah.
Can you show me a landing page that has some of your work?
Definitely.
It's almost expected beyond a website that can be kind of difficult to maintain up to date all the time. Whereas social media, I can post a picture. You can go to a job site today, take a picture, post it. You're up to date.
Yep.
You know, your website, there's a whole different back end that's got to happen to get that up to date.
Yep. Yeah, I do. I think that, you know, and I'm relatively active in spurts on LinkedIn posting, and hopefully I'm doing it right. I don't know. It's pretty casual for me. I just kind of, but I think what I do try to do is promote our teammates, our players, and let them, you know, get a little exposure. I've been told, oh, you don't want to do that because now people are going to steal your players and your mappies. And I've always looked at it as it's our responsibility to keep mappies happy. And if somebody, competitor walks in the door and if we're keeping them happy, they're not going to leave. And so I don't care about that. A lot of people don't promote their talent because they know people are watching, recruiters. And, you know, I've seen some corporations even just give the first name. And I'm like, you know, I didn't know why they did that. And I asked my wife, who's pretty astute in marketing, she's our head of marketing, and she explained to me it's because they don't want their people to know their names. I'm like, well, Isn't that what people want?
Yeah,
People
you wanna
want
work-
to
you wanna
be-
work with that
Yeah,
person?
Well, you want to be promoted. I mean, if you're project manager and you're doing good, and somebody promotes you on LinkedIn, they kind of feel good about that, right? I would, So, I wouldn't want to be called Mike.
This
Okay.
is Mike, everybody.
Mike's doing a great job. Thanks,
Yeah.
appreciate
out
it.
of, out of a company with several hundred people, you probably have one or two mics.
It might be a few
on
more mics.
team.
Yeah, but no, and I shouldn't criticize other people how they do their business, but I think it's important on LinkedIn to give the people that are actually doing the work credit as much as I can. So
Yeah, and like you said, it's the employer's responsibility to make the work environment one in which those people don't want to leave. Because
you said it much more eloquently than I did.
it's inviting to stay at a workplace because you know what you know, and you know that the devil is always better than the devil in the closet, right?
That's
and
right.
so going to a new place of work, you may have no idea what you're walking into.
Say that
They
all
may
the time.
incentivize you with great benefits, a ping pong table, and all this
We have one
pay.
of those in Dallas.
Well, see,
by
look,
the
there
way.
you
See,
go.
we
That's
got the ping pong table.
that's your attraction,
Yeah,
right
that's
there.
why we get them.
But for those that are already in the job they're in, if so long as they're happy and in a good mental state and well taken care of, and they know that their employer takes care of them and wants to take care of them, then all those offers are just going to get, fall to the wayside because they're happy where they're at.
The
But if
odds
you've got
are better.
employees that are
Yeah.
not so happy and
They're
you
gonna
say,
move.
why don't we try to solve this by promoting them? And that's your solution to the problem, then they're going to walk as soon as somebody calls
Or
them.
money. It's not going to work for long.
No, you
Yeah,
gotta have a culture.
I agree with that. And we're not perfect at it, but we try hard. And
So what are some things y'all do to kind of help build culture?
wow, we focus heavily on our belief system. I think that's important. Why do we exist, and what are our core values? Make sure that everybody understands them, which tells them how to behave. Right. This is what we expect with regards to behavior. I think that's key to creating a culture, because now everybody's on the same page. Now, after that, I think you have to be really flexible, and you have to I think it all comes down. We have one of our 5 core values is having fun. And, when I tell people about it, I tell them, if you want to have a fun culture or a good culture, you have to work at it. And that sounds counterintuitive, right? That you would want to have fun, but you got to work at it. But you do. And I tell them having fun is not just, well, let's go out and have happy hour after and meet, which is perfectly cool. But it's really about building relationships at the office and at the job site with your clients, and that's when you will have fun. When your workplace becomes really integral to your life, and it's important to you, and you know the people that you're working with.
Right.
And so having fun for us is building relationships, and that's what it really comes down to. You got to work at it. You can't come into the office, sit at your desk, say hi to somebody in the lunchroom. You got to get around. And so we have to be flexible as managers to give people that time. It's not, we're not I don't know if I can say this, but hard ass.
You can say whatever you want.
Good, I like that. But we're not standing over people's shoulders. You got to get your work done. You got to be accountable. But it's got to be a flexible environment that people can, that if I walk through the lunchroom and somebody's playing ping pong, that they don't think that I'm upset about that.
Right. They don't think that you're hovering over their shoulder.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, Mike's in there. Put the paddles down. Go back to work.
So every once in a while, I got to play ping pong, which is not a pretty sight.
I'm sure you're getting better at it.
Never.
Never?
Has, no.
Well, and I think it goes into team building, and showing your company and your employees that you really care about them. One of our sponsors, Mallard Bay Outdoors, they focus a lot on corporate guided hunts. When people take out clients, they take out customers, they also take out employees on those group building exercises that some of these outfitters will put you in with 30 people. They'll do exercises and a whole team building experience, and then you go and enjoy a hunt.
Yeah.
And stuff like that within companies can help build that culture, because then you're starting to see them outside of the office, right? You're starting to see them outside of the workplace. You're not seeing Mike in a suit and tie 24/7.
Yep.
you're starting to see them maybe in some shorts and a t-shirt and playing, tennis in the backyard or something. And it gets you out of that ordinary business mind frame, and you put them in boxes. Like, I'm sure if your employees, maybe some employees see Mike as like the boss.
Yeah.
But then that happy hour allows them to see Mike as, the comrade. And then you start getting further and further away from the office, building that relationship. Now it's Mike's my friend.
Yeah, that's right. It's we do fun days. We call them fun days. And so I think every other month or something like that, each office will do a fun day. And, we've done things from obstacle courses to kickball to top golf to whatever, and or just go and meet for happy hour. So those are important, and we do focus on that. So it's one of the things that we do to make sure, that's intentional. But I find that it's the unintended, the unplanned, when you got things working well, when you see people getting together and going to lunch together.
Yes.
Or going just, hey, who wants to go to happy hour? Back in the early days, we used to have a margarita day.
Ooh,
where
that sounds like a fun day.
There was just a group of the accounting department would walk around on Friday and say it's Margarita Friday, and they would collect money and go buy a bunch of, or maybe it's daiquiri Friday.
Why is it always us, the CPAs and the accountants? Why do we always get the rep for being the alcoholics in the office?
I know we are, but they're the ones that organize all the fun, right? They got the money.
So, we know what we can spend.
Yeah, that's right. So, but yeah, just stuff like that, and that's when you kind of, at least for me, you kind of feel good about that. The culture's good, is when people are getting along, and so you can also tell when there's some problems when that's not happening. You can see it. And you have to adjust it. You got to figure it out, and you got to, sometimes you have to remove certain elements to get that culture back.
Yeah. I mean, if you see people showing up right on time when work starts and leaving right as soon as they're done, then they're just here to punch in and punch out. Are they really here for the camaraderie of the team that makes up the organization? Yeah, it's about,
you can sense it, when at least I think you can, or at least you should be able to. You can feel it when things are not. And look, culture in every organization. I mean, we've been doing this for 30 years. We have great culture at times, and then we can sense things slowing down. We do surveys routinely of our people so that we can try to catch it. But you can sense it. But the surveys help. They're confidential, so people are honest. You can kind of find out you got a little bit of a problem here or there, and you want to work on it. And it goes back to, for us, and something that we just started about a year and a half ago, just really focusing in on our core values and making sure everybody because we've grown, from 130, 140 people, I think we're to 200 people just in the last 2 years. And that's a stress on your culture because you're bringing in a lot of new people. So how do you welcome them on the team, but then how do you get them to buy into that culture? So it's been fun doing. So far, I think we're doing pretty good at it. And
you're still adding team members. So
we're still adding
where you call them mappies?
We do.
So what's the story behind
I
mappies?
have no idea. No, I think, to be honest with you, I think just one day on LinkedIn I posted, here's some mappies, or I can't remember it. And it just stuck. And we not terribly long ago, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, maybe it's less than that. We started talking about happy mappies and being a big part of success, and I think that's how it came to be, something in that range. It wasn't any great story, unfortunately.
Well, but I think that in and of itself is a proof of the culture, that something so just not a big deal has stuck around and become a big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
That goes back to your organic conversation of something that happens organically is way better than something that you've had to force onto your team. So
Right.
like that,
Yeah.
whatever it was, whether it was something
don't
small and everybody said, oh, that's great, we love it.
Yeah.
The fact that your team members were able to look at it and catch that and say, that is really cool. Let's make it a part of our culture.
Yep.
And they had the desire to do that. That's outside of their scope of work.
Yep,
That's outside of their responsibility.
Right. And they have taken to it, and I don't know if anybody's offended by it. I hope not. But yeah, so it's
add the question on the survey. Are you offended by the term mappy?
Really. Yeah, really. Are you? That's right. That's a good question. No, but look, whether they like it or not, that's what they are. No, I'm just joking. But no, it is a good point, and they have taken to it, and we got a good group of people. So.
That's awesome. So how did all this get started? So I saw on your LinkedIn, you were with, I think, a handful of other companies for like 7.5 years. I think
that's about right.
Is the rough math.
Yeah. That's about right.
Before you started MAPP. So rewinding the clock a little bit, how did you get to the point where you decided to start something on your own?
Well, I didn't decide to start on my own. I was fortunate. I was at an awards event. I was working for a company in New Orleans. I was living in Baton Rouge, and there was an awards event, a project that I was leader of. Won an award at ABC. It was at Drusilla. The banquet was at Drusilla Seafood, I think. And my team, went up and accepted the award. I just kind of hung back, and because I didn't do a whole lot on the job other than bark. And but Lane Grigsby, who's a well-known successful contractor in town, walked up and just started talking to me and said he'd heard a little bit about me and blah, blah, blah. And we talked for a little while, and the event was ending. And so I just said, we're going to after party at the Patio Lounge. I don't know if you know the Patio Lounge, but
that's the one right off of Jefferson.
Right off of Jefferson.
Yeah. I've heard.
It's a
I
great.
need to go there.
It's a great.
I've heard some
dive
really.
bar. Back in the day, they had a guy who was the bartender with handlebar mustache, and he made the best Bloody Mary in town. Allegedly, I'm not a Bloody Mary guy, but so I said, I'm taking the team to the Patio Lounge for drinks. Why don't you and your wife join us? We can continue the conversation. I didn't think he would ever show up, right? But they came, and I sat at the bar, and 6 beers later, we were in business, and that's really how it got started. And I always wanted to run a company. I didn't necessarily think I would run my own company, but
we're here.
Yeah, well, here we are, and that's how we got started. Literally, 1 week later, we were signing papers, and another after I resigned, another 30 days later, we were getting after it. May 9th, 1991.
May 9th, 1991. That was
1991.
91.
Yeah.
That was the first day the company was able to conduct business after y'all's
that
non-compete or whatever's?
No, I didn't have a non-compete. Back in the day, that I don't even know if that was in Louisiana, how far that would go, but I wasn't that much of a big shot that they were worried about me competing with them. So they didn't have non-competes back then, at least not to my knowledge. But we don't do non-competes either, by the way. Again, it goes back to that. If you're not happy here, we'd rather you go somewhere else. And if you want to compete with us, tee it up and let's go. So we don't do non-competes. And but anyway, back. So May 9th, 1991 was the first day we actually went to work. Tried to start getting some work.
And so did y'all seek after new potential clients, or were y'all calling on the old clients you'd already done business with?
We opened in Baton Rouge, and even though I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, everything I'd ever done was in Atlanta, North Carolina, or New Orleans. And so the Baton Rouge market didn't know who the heck I was. And so to build the business, we started doing public work, public bids, because you could, if you're low, you got the job. You just had to be able to bond it. And Lane was able to help me get the bonding. So that was really the recipe to get started, and then to build enough of a reputation that the private sector would take notice. And that's how it worked. We spent the first year or two mostly in the public sector. Associated Grocers gave us an opportunity, which was our first private client. We built their truck maintenance facility. It's still there. It's still maintaining trucks.
Still stand. The building's still standing.
Still there. And that was kind of the first private sector role. And then, we were fortunate enough that interesting story is, when I was in college, there was a gentleman by the name of Richard Setliff who ran Tudor Construction here in town and built all the Swaggart work and everything. They were the big shots in Baton Rouge. So when I was in college, I was trying to get a job with him, right? So I pursued him pretty heavy, and then decided to move away. He didn't really have anything, and the market in Louisiana in '84 was pretty slow. I moved to Atlanta and got a job there and worked there, and I stayed in touch with him. Always like, when can I when I eventually come home, I want to come work for you, and because they were kind of the fast forward construction company in Baton Rouge. They weren't the good old boys. And stayed in touch with him, and then ended up starting this business. And a couple of years in, he called me and he said, "Hey, I hear you're doing well. How about if I come join your company?" He had moved to New Orleans, was running a company down in New Orleans, and was tired of shuttling back and forth. And so Richard, came on board in '93. And it was a big difference maker. It immediately credentialed our company, and people in Baton Rouge started taking notice. And, we started getting big work. And it was, and then we started executing it. And kind of those were the, it's all about people, right? So Lane Grigsby, Richard Setliff. Shortly after that, Mark Lahaye comes on board. And shortly after that, a fellow by the name of Pat Hernser in Dallas came on board. And that's, we're not here today if it wasn't for those 3 or 4 people. It's always about a leap of faith, right? They took a leap of faith in our business, and clients take a leap of faith. Big clients. When we got the Catfish Town project, we were in 93 or 94. We had no business getting it from what we had built, but Richard's resume, my resume, and our superintendent's resume. And the fact that we were pretty aggressive, and I think they just liked us, and we got Catfish Town. That was a big job for a bunch of 3 or 4 year old company.
Yeah, a bunch of new hot shots. Trying to change the game.
Change the game. Yeah. So anyway, that's how we got started, and after that, it just continued to build.
Yeah, I mean, just snowballed after those first few jobs, and then you're able to do what y'all are doing now. I mean, you're in all different industries. Everywhere. I mean, across the country.
Yeah, we are. We work from Philadelphia to Chicago we just finished a project in Colorado. We're in Florida building car washes and getting ready to start a bunch of big projects, a couple of nice big projects in Dallas. We've been in Dallas now 25 years. We're opening new markets. So yeah, we're having fun. We've always stayed true to being diverse and not focusing on one particular industry.
So how are you able to manage throughout all of the people around the country, all these different projects? I mean, what tools have you been put in place to manage everywhere with all the different projects?
Well, again, technology is a big key to that, and just good old-fashioned flying to the job sites. But, I wouldn't say there's anything special about it that makes that happen. It is easier because of the technology. You can keep up with the project. It really just takes good people. At the end of the day, you have to have a great superintendent on that project site that you trust. That's where projects fail, is when you can't, somebody's not trustworthy. I mean, but you got to send somebody to Philadelphia and entrust a great client, they've got to be trustworthy. So they have to improve themselves. So it's really all about people. Great projects are done by great people. Poor projects are usually done because the people were distracted or it's not because they're poor people, but they're distracted, or they're not focused, or they're going through something in their life where they can't perform as well. So that's the hard part. It's people.
So
it's not robots.
We've got a comment coming in from the live viewers about Palace Theater.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a video going back
Oh, wow.
in the day where you had promised them it'd be open for the viewing of Jurassic Park.
Well, that's a great story.
Thank you, Ryan Nelson, for the comment.
Ryan is
he's all over
he's all over the place.
He's about it.
Yeah. He's my plant. No, I'm just joking. The Palace Theater, we were making some noise, and we were building the Cinemark Theater here in town over on Seagan Lane. But at the same time, we were doing some very small projects, alfalfa video stores across the state, small projects for a great client, and we were in the bid room getting ready to bid the Baton Rouge Clinic, the building over there on Perkins Road.
Yep. We
were bidding that again, and it was a big opportunity for us because it was healthcare, and Leda Lake was involved, and I think it was a Washer Hill job. I don't know, but maybe it was a Bradley Brewster job. But anyway, big architect firm. So we were really focused on. But anyway, I got a project manager walks in. We're in the bid room. It's 15 minutes till bid time. It's hectic. And he says, Mike, George is on the phone. George is the alfalfa video guy, George Solomon. And I'm going, oh man, what do I do? I said, no, give me the phone. Because he wanted to talk to me. So I wasn't going to say no. So I got to get George on the phone, and I said, George, what you do? And he says, Mike, my dad, T.G. Solomon, who actually the theater that was here, they built and sold twice. The United Artists Theater that was over on the corner at Bon Marché.
Yep.
On whatever street that is.
The Baton Rouge Theater now?
I don't know what it is now, but I don't even know if it's still there. But it's not the little theater, the movie theater.
Oh,
but anyway,
okay.
They may have torn it down by now. But anyway, the Solomon family, great family, but big movie family. So movie theater family, and he says his dad wants to get back in the theater business, and was I interested in building a 20-screen theater for him in New Orleans? I said, you bet you we can bring us in. So that's the Palace Theater in Elmwood, and that was they needed to be open for Jurassic Park. That was the big deal. It was a 20-screen theater, and it was a monster of a schedule. And Richard Sutliff and a fellow by the name of Bob Lipscomb, who didn't work with us much longer after that, but those two, and a fellow by the name of Phil Foray, who was the superintendent on the project. Those three people pulled off a miracle, and it was a great opening party. I mean, it was they did it right, and it was a lot of fun. But yeah, we did. We promised.
So y'all made it happen.
We made it happen when we opened for Jurassic Park in '96 or whatever that was. But yeah, that was
96?
good. Whenever it was. I think we started it in '96. We may have finished. But yeah, that was great. I think we built that thing in like 10 months, and yeah, it was a nice project.
So from that, did you get a lot of people saying, "Hey, you built the theater. We want to work with you"?
We have built for the Solomon family and for George Solomon in particular. We built 15 to 20 theaters over the years, and we've remodeled them all. And George, we did the palaces for them. They sold that. Then they started Southern Theaters. We built all of those. Then they sold that to a private equity firm or part of it. I don't know all the financial dealings. And we're still doing business with that private equity firm and with Southern Theater Group out of New Orleans now. And we're renovating a theater for them in El Paso, Texas right now. So we are heavy in the theater business, Cinemark, AMC, and we do them all over the Southeast. We haven't done any of those really much further out than the Southeast.
Gotcha. I mean, that's that used to be like a big business with theaters, and then
COVID.
2 years ago, everybody experienced a little bit of a shift in that.
You know, it's interesting though, in that market, our like I said, we started renovating again it shut down, but we started renovating some of their theaters about, I don't know, 10, 12 months ago. And we see a little bit of life in that market. You know, AMC and Cinemark. Cinemark's building a couple of new theaters. We're not building them, but they're starting to see life in that market again. And I think they think they still got a viable business, and all signs are that they do.
I think it'll get back. I think people still love that activity, that experience, and that's, I mean, coming out of COVID, I mean, how many businesses are looking at what can they change from an experiential standpoint? How can they make the experience better? Because that's what people are after now. Mm-hmm. You know, convenience and accessibility has all kind of been bridged over the last 2 years of what can be done from a business standpoint. And now it's how can we give the best possible experience to not only our employees and our team members, but also our customers and our clients. Mm-hmm. What can we do to make them want to come to us instead of going to somebody else?
And then there's no question. That's you know, I mentioned it earlier. You know, we look at client intimacy as what we do better than anybody else, and it's what we strive to do better than anybody else all the time. And because that's the difference. It's you know, the guy I worked for in North Carolina, Bob Street, McDevitt Street was the name of the company. It was all about the experience for him. You know, it was, you know, and he would, you know, when he would preach, or speak to everybody, it was never anything about just the experience you create for your client, and it's a difference maker. And in an industry where making sausage is sometimes ugly, it's how you inform your client about making that sausage, that they want to know that you care, and we do a good job of it, and we can do a better job of it. We're going to keep trying, but I do. Everybody's looking to try and figure out how to do that, and so in some cases in our industry, it's technologies. Just some of that is just being able to inform them quicker, faster, give them the look where they don't have to go to the job site, where they can see it on a camera or shoot a link to them of your job walk. It's nice to be able to stay in touch with them that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's with all industries across the board. I mean, within the banking industry here in Baton Rouge, Currency Bank opening up and being the business bankers and those partners to build those relationships and be that connection that people need out of a banker is why, you know, Scott and the team got started with Currency, is to be that bridge, that relationship, that we're here if you need us, and we're in whatever form you want to get to us. Yeah. Mobile app, in person, you know, drive-through, whatever it is, we're here for you, and we're going to be with you every step of the way. Yep. That's just where business has to shift to. You've got to shift to those relationships, that consumer, that client-facing experience, and make sure your team gets a similar experience that's going to keep them around. Yep. So they don't get poached when you promote them on social media and everything.
You're 100% right.
So kind of as we get towards the end of the show, we have a set list of questions we like to ask our guests.
Okay.
4 questions, very hard-hitting questions.
Okay.
The first one being, what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Dress up as Batman and Robin.
Yeah. Which would you dress up as, Batman or Robin?
I was Robin.
You're a Robin? Why did you pick Robin?
I don't know that I picked it. I think the guy that I was dressing up with probably picked Batman. We you know, the guy lived across the street. We dressed up as Batman and Robin all the time, go outside and play. So yeah, maybe that. Go run through the creek without a care in the world, and those were fun days. So yeah, anything like that, just carefree, something where
carefree running through the creek.
Yeah, carefree running through the creek.
I think if we did like a Photoshop of your face on somebody running through the creek and circulate it to your employees, what kind of message would they be seeing?
Yeah, those were fun days. Yeah, go look for frogs or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, that was my high school and my middle school through high school. That was what we did. It was going down to the river, going down to the creek, and you know, just being outdoors and, like you said, not a care.
I'm
in
not
the
sure what
world.
all was in that creek, whether we should have been in there or not, but
You didn't think about
we
that.
were, though.
You never thought
So
about
it was
that.
fun.
We'd jump off a platform
Yeah.
that was 30 feet in the air with 4 feet of water. Like,
Yeah.
you never thought about what the consequences were. You would just, what's the best way I can get in this water and not break my legs?
Yeah.
So
I'd
what
still
are
probably rather do Batman and Robin, though.
it's safer?
Yeah, safer.
So what are 3 lessons you've learned along the way? You've been in this industry a long time. You've done everything from working for somebody to owning your own thing and, just adapting to change. I'm sure there's lots of lessons packed in there. But if you had to pick 3, what would they be?
Wow. Surround yourself with great people. And I'm not sure there really is anything else. At the end of the day, surround yourself with great people. That's where it starts. You got to get lucky a little bit, but if you surround yourself with great talent, you'll get lucky. I just feel that way. That has been the biggest key to our success. I mentioned those 3 or 4 people. Well, now it's 3 or 4 other people, right? That are leading the company. Whether it's Bradley Tassan, who just got promoted to executive vice president, or whether it's Brant Granger is our CFO, or whether it's Matt Miguez, the superintendent up on the Philadelphia job, and that's really what it's about, is surrounding yourself with great people. So that's number 1. Be willing to take risks. I mean, I think that's probably as important as anything. If you're not taking a risk, you're not gonna. I just don't see how in our business, we take risks every day, obviously, but and it's a risky business. But if you're not willing to take a risk on something you're not perfectly comfortable with, you're probably not growing. And there's that old saying about not growing as a person. But in the business world, you have to be willing to take a risk every once in a while. And I think the third thing that I and it goes back to the client relationship, is everybody that comes in to work for MAPP reads a book called Getting Naked, and it's a consulting fellow's name that wrote it is Patrick Lencioni, who I'm a big fan of. But what it's about is getting naked with your client in exposing yourself, being willing to be at risk, and being willing to show that you trust them. And it comes back in spades to you. And in our business, that's hard at times, because being at risk could be a lot of money. Are you willing to step out for the client and trust that they're going to take care of you to keep things rolling? And so I think that would be the third piece, is that if you hire great people and you surround yourself with great people, and then you trust those people, you're going to do pretty well. And because those people are the ones that are going to give you the confidence to take the risk.
Right.
So that kind of works together. Because if you trust, there's something I do believe, and we talk about it. Something I said long ago was that I do believe in people. I believe people are inherently good, and so you should trust them until they prove you otherwise. And I think fundamentally, it's been very rare over 30 years that I've been able would say, wow, that person is just not a good person.
Yeah.
I think everybody goes through their times, and you work through that. But so I fundamentally believe in people, and so at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
I love that. I mean, that's truer words have never been spoken than
I don't know about
trusting
that,
the
but
people.
hey,
I mean, you got to trust your people make up your business. Without them,
That's
there's
gives
no
you
company.
the confidence to risk, and you got to take risks to grow. And when COVID hit, that was kind of like, whoa, what are we going to do? Well, we decided we were going to go into new markets and take advantage of the opportunity to grow. You can't do that unless you trust your people that you surround yourself with. So it may have been a bit different decision.
Yeah. So what is something you love about Baton Rouge?
I love everything about Baton Rouge. I'm a Baton Rouge guy. I love everything about Baton Rouge. I think that, when I was growing up in Baton Rouge, my dad was big in the Jerry Lewis MD telethon or whatever it was. He and Jay Darden were the co-hosts numerous times, or whatever he did. He ran it. I don't know what he did, but he was very involved in it. And what I can always remember growing up in Baton Rouge is that Baton Rouge is the most giving city around. Now, obviously, I hadn't been exposed to every other city, and maybe every city is like that, but it seemed like Baton Rouge was always gave the most at the Labor Day telethon. Or it just was a very giving city. I think it still is. I think it's going through some tough times, and we need to figure out how to change that and get it back on track in so many ways. But it comes back down to the people. People are very giving, and they're fun, and I enjoy all the people in this community, and it's very giving. Go to any fundraiser, and raising a lot of money for a small town like this, so it's great. LSU football ain't bad either. LSU basketball and LSU baseball, I love them all. So that's always fun. So, but we got a lot to be proud of. What I don't like about Baton Rouge is I think we put ourselves down too often. And so, back when Saban came, he was all about excellence. And I think it gave everybody a little bit of we can be excellent, Saban and Emmert. And I think now, because people look to LSU athletics, and they do, and they look to LSU academics, we need to look at there more. But right now with Coach Kelly and Scott Woodward and President Tate, I think we have the same kind of leadership that we can look to for excellence, and so I see good things, but we got to start complimenting ourselves, and we got to find some solutions to some of our problems.
Right, I agree absolutely. So
I love Baton Rouge.
Yeah, it's hometown. It's a nice place, and the people that make up Baton Rouge,
they're good people,
just great people.
They really are, and as a general rule, we all get along. So yeah, it's a good place. So for the final question, what can I do to help you? Man, you gave me some help. I got some pub today, right? A little publicity. No, I don't know. Just be good. Get out there and help Baton Rouge. I'll do what I can. Yeah. That's what this show is based around, is showing off people in Baton Rouge and the great business leaders that are here and all the people that they're a part of and included, and just kind of giving the community a bit of a pump up, That's it. Well, that's what we need. Well, keep doing it. I'll keep doing it because it's a good place. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for being on the show. I appreciate your time today. Anytime. Love the stories learned and the lessons talked about. So thank you, everybody else, whether you're watching this or you're listening to us. I appreciate it. I know the guests do as well. Y'all make this show possible, and y'all make, the ability for us to get Baton Rouge out there and talk about it all the more better. And just we're going to keep doing what we're doing. So thank y'all so very much for tuning in to this latest episode of the Patty G Show. I'm your host here with Mike Polito of MAPP Construction, and y'all have a good one. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Sell your home for a $399 flat fee with Falaya. No, seriously. Falaya will list your home on the MLS and help you get all the way to the closing table for as little as a $399 flat fee. Our online platform is insanely easy to use and will save you thousands. If you're thinking about selling your home in 2022 and want to keep more of your hard-earned equity in your pocket, you need to check out Falaya. Falaya, real estate reimagined.
Thank you all so very much for listening to this episode of the Patty G Show, brought to you by Government Taco. They're located on the corner of Government Street and Jefferson Highway. Jay is always slinging up a new taco of the month, so if you're a frequenter to Government Taco, let us know in the comments what you thought about this month's taco of the month. If you're not a frequenter, maybe trying out this month's taco might just convert you. Big thanks over to them at Government Taco for making the Patty G Show possible.
At Horizon Financial Group, we enjoy helping others achieve greater confidence, clarity, and direction in their lives. We realize everyone's path to financial success is unique. Sometimes you just need a friendly guide along the way. Whether it's customized financial planning, individual wealth management, or servicing your company's retirement plan, we've got the team with the experience to help you reach your goals. Horizon Financial Group, helping you provide, protect, and prosper for those counting on you. Visit us at horizonfg.com. Cetera Advisors LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Cetera is a separate entity.
Thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge for making this show possible. Nick Pentis is a past guest. We love having him on. Listening to him talk about the culture they have over at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge is really an incredible thing to hear. How they treat not only their employees, but every customer that walks through the door. You are more than just a number to them. They're going to give you that white glove concierge service every step of the way. They're going to make you feel like family and take what can be a stressful time in people's life, shopping for a car. They're going to make it so enjoyable and so pleasurable. You're going to want to go back there time and time again for every new vehicle. Thank you so very much for Mercedes-Benz of making this show possible. Thank you so very much to Currency Bank, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show. If you are looking for a business bank that fosters on 3 core values, relationships, service, and technology, Currency Bank is the place for you. They pride themselves on convenient, accessible, and secure online banking resources where you can manage your account balances, initiate transfers, enroll with e-statements, and more via their online portal. Between the relationships, the service, and the technology, they are going to be that partner with your business every step of the way, regardless of what you need. Currency Bank is the bank for business owners. Thank you so very much to Mallard Bay Outdoors, the Airbnb for the outdoor sportsman. If you're looking to book a hunt or a fishing trip, this is the platform to use. They are a past guest of the Patty G Show. We got to learn all about what they're doing from the ground up. They are really revolutionizing the booking process for hunts and fish all across the country. For your next hunting or fishing experience, or maybe your corporate retreat, you're looking for something to do for your employees, book a hunt or a fishing trip with Mallard Bay Outdoors, and they will take care of you every step of the way, from organizing it with the guides and the captains to making sure you can take care of them at the end of the trip. Mallard Bay Outdoors, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show.
Simple man, don't wanna complicate ya. Complicate ya.